had no wines of Gaiole, so I was looking for a Chianti Classico from this area. I tried the wines from Saverio, and I really enjoyed it. So me and Bianca decided to have those wines in our wine shop, and also because we really enjoy the Saverio, so the producer, and he's a very nice person, very humble, very serious, and all those characteristics are reflected into the wines he makes. So this is why we decided to have this wine in our wine shop, and to make to introduce this winery into the Divina Enoteca. We organized last week wine tasting with Saverio and wife Fabiana. So we tried all the wines from Monterotondo. So they produced the wine are those. So Chianti Classico Riserva, and also a white. And so this this producer is in a particular area of Gaiole. So Gaiole is inside the Chianti Classico. So the Chianti Classico is a small area just between Florence and Siena, and is an area where you can find the Chianti with the black rooster. This one. So the black rooster, remember, you find just on the Classico. You find much more Chianti in Commerce, not Classico. They're made also everywhere in Tuscany, but not in the Chianti region. So this producer is in the Chianti region, and in the historical part of the Chianti region. So the historical part is just the area that includes Gaiole in Chianti, Radda in Chianti, and Castellina in Chianti. So this is the oldest area inside the Chianti Classico. Is the heart of the Chianti. And here is where you find many of the most representative producers in the Chianti region. This producer,
so what is typical about Gaiole? The area in Gaiole. What is typical about the area in Gaiole?
So the area of Gaiole is quite strange, because it's small, but there are so many different microclimates and soils. So it's very difficult to include the producers of Gaiole into just one type of Chianti Classico. For example, this is so Monterotondo. This wine is on a particular part of Gaiole, because it's the part of Gaiole that looks not towards the Valdarno. So Valdarno is another area, and the Monterotondo is very elevated. So the vineyards are about sometimes more than 500 meters. So here is a little bit colder of Gaiole. Consider that there is a part of Gaiole where there is an area called Vertine, where you find very dry, very mineral wines in Gaiole. So Gaiole is very difficult to represent this area just in one wine. So there are several areas in Gaiole, and each one gives a different Chianti Classico. And so this is also one of the most interesting aspects of the Chianti Classico, that there are really so many different areas, microclimates, soils. So it's very difficult to make a classification of the Chianti Classico. Even if some people is starting to try to do this. But there are huge differences in altitudes, in type of soils, exposure. So here, for example, if the vineyards looks toward the Valdarno, so are a little more exposed to east, so east, whereas the one that looks towards Radda are a little more exposed to west. The altitudes are different, the composition of the soils. So there are really so many characteristics. And consider that, for example, even if in the Chianti area is not very popular for white wine production, here in Monterotondo, they are able to make a very nice white. This is a Malvasia, for example. So,
yes,
is due to the particular climate. So white wines, you can produce very good white wines where you have a very huge difference of temperature between day and night. So this is what normally happens in Gaiole. So, and Malvasia is one of the most typical white wines, white grapes of Tuscany.
And, sorry, I was just tweeting a bit, so I was listening. Okay, so do you want to talk more about the wines, or do you want to talk something more about the Monterotondo?
So we can just make an introduction about the Monterotondo and then speak about much more. So I tell you just a little bit. So the production of this producer is about the white. We told the Malvasia is a white just aging still, so a little bit aromatic because Saverio, the producer, uses a little bit of aromatic Malvasia. So the wine is mainly made with the Malvasia and Trebbiano, and there is a little amount of aromatic Malvasia, which is a grape very similar to the Moscato, that gives a lot of aromas, also if you use just 2, 3, 5%. So it's very nice because the nose is very fruity, so you can smell a lot of grapefruit, lychees, and in your mouth instead is very salty and very dry. So it's an example of a white perfect also for fishes. Then, like,
so there's a new person here. I'm just going to present what we're talking about again. So hello, Gilly. This is Livio, and at Wines of Italy Blab today we're talking about the Gaiole area in Tuscany, which is more specifically about the Monterotondo producer. So if you have any questions, you can make them to Livio during the Blab. Okay.
I will try to answer to every question. Okay, so Gilly, we were saying about the white. So maybe you know Tuscany for red wines production. Here in this area, at 500 meters over the sea, we can find also good white wine. Then the Chianti Classico. Chianti Classico, organic. So this is, remember, is the organic certification here in Europe and in Italy. And also this is very important. So it's a very traditional Chianti Classico. So here in Monterotondo, you don't find the international grapes, just local grapes. So as you know, the Chianti Classico is mainly Sangiovese, so 80% of Sangiovese. Then the 20% changes for about every wine of every producer. So this, for example, there is written is about 85 Sangiovese, 10 Canaiolo, which is another typical Tuscan red grape, and 5% of black Malvasia. The wine is aged in oak barrels for about 1 year, and then it's put in the bottle, and Saverio sells this wine when he thinks the wine is ready. So now there is the 2011 in common. Consider that some Chianti Classico, now there is the 2014. So for Saverio, this is the vintage now to sell. And so our wines that need to be aged a little bit in the bottle, because in the first years of life are very astringent. They have very good acidity. So you know the acidity is due to the altitudes. So the most elevated are the vineyards, the more the wine is acid. And also due to the Sangiovese. Sangiovese is a wine that is a grape that gives very acid wines. So this wine needs to be aged a little bit more in the bottle. And it's a wine typical of altitude. So in the nose, if you try to smell the flowers, the violet, the iris, then the red currant, cherry, a little bit of strawberry, and then the spices due to the oak aging. So a little bit of licorice, black pepper, just a little bit of chocolate, dark cocoa. So it's the wine we normally drink every day. not really every day because you don't like it, but it's perfect for the plate we normally drink we eat every day here in Florence. T-bone steak, for example, just a little bit of pasta with meat sauces. You may have also with the pork meat, or most common with some salami and cheese, which is what me and Bianca normally eat every day. So between one customer and the other.
True.
So yes, Chianti Classico. So don't call basic Chianti Classico, because many people, like Angela, if someone was present 1 month ago, we made the Blab with Angela Fronti from Istine. So she gets angry if you call the Chianti Classico the basic. So this is the vintage, the Annata.
The Annata, no?
The Annata in common. So it's not the basic one, it's the regular. The Riserva. So the Riserva is something a little bit different. So normally the Riserva is not produced every year, just in the best vintages. So this is from a particular vineyard, is made with a selection of the best grapes, so it's the top wine. So this is aged a little bit more. So this, for example, is written 95% Sangiovese, 5 Malvasia, and also the aging is longer, about 36 months in oak, 3 years. Also, this is a wine that you need to be aged in the bottle a little bit more. So consider normally that red wine. Oh my
God, Monterotondo is here. I didn't know he had a Twitter account.
Yes, they have.
Okay. Oh, because I should have invited him then.
Saverio, if you want to...
If you want to jump in. I didn't know you had a Twitter account, otherwise I would have asked him directly. If you want to jump in, Saverio, you can just click the call in link and I'll accept you.
Okay. Okay, so we were, and Saverio, don't worry, I told about the white, I told about the Chianti Classico. Now
this is pretty cool. You have the producer here and I didn't even invite him. This is embarrassing.
And it's very funny because there are 2 totally different wines, so for every type, every taste. So consider the Chianti Classico is more for every day, so what we drink, more fruity, light, the oak taste is just a little bit. The Riserva instead is a little bit more international. So you taste and you smell more the aroma due to the oak aging. So it's a wine that needs to be aged more in the bottle. So in the first years of life, it's very oaky, very astringent. For this reason, we made a vertical tasting last week to try also the old vintages of this producer, both the Chianti Classico and the Riserva. And we noticed that those are wines very nice to drink now, but if you have the passion to wait 5, 6, 7 years, the quality improve every year more and more and more and more, especially for the Riserva. So of course you can buy the bottle and drink. If you wait, for me it is much better. So this is a wine need a little bit more of bottle respect other Chianti Classico. It's not a very easy one. It's something more complex. So you can compare, for example, with the wine of Montalcino. So our wines need to be aged a little bit more important wines. And this is just the whole production of this producer. Just 3 wines. So the white, the Chianti Classico, and the Riserva. Even if someone told me that Saverio is trying to make a sparkling wine, but
really?
Yes, but just few bottles for himself and his wife. So I'm waiting for 1 bottle. So,
but from the Sangiovese or?
Bianca, do you remember?
The Sangiovese grape or
the sparkling wine from Saverio? Sangiovese. I think Sangiovese. Because it's not a joke. Because here the climate is particular. So we told that is an altitude. So very strong thermal excursions between day and night. During the day it's very hot, but during the night it's very cold. So this is what you need for white wine production, but it's perfect also for producing sparkling wine with the classical, with the champenoise technique. So it's more a climate that remember more the climate of north of Italy, the cold region, than the Tuscan one. So and here is where you can find very good sparkling wines. Also in other parts of Tuscany, some producers started to make sparkling wines with very good results. For example, Castello del Trebbio in Rufina.
They don't do have Sangiovese. They do it on.
Yes, with the Chardonnay.
Sangiovese, that's true.
Yes, Chardonnay and a little bit of Trebbiano, the Castello del Trebbio. And there the climate is quite similar. So very strong thermal excursion between day and night. So Tuscany is not just for red wines. It's also for very good white and very nice sparkling wines. And this is a very interesting producer, Monterotondo, for me to try. So it's not so easy because it's very small. So it's very small producer. You don't find on many books that talk about wines. It's not so popular because it's one of the producers like that don't have an
because he doesn't have an enologist, no?
Sorry?
He doesn't have an enologist.
No enologist, no agronomist. So some producers now are very popular because they have a very famous, very trendy enologist, the knowledge of the moment, the agronomist of the moment, very good public relation man or girl. So this producer has just one man band.
Also, if they're good looking, some of them are very good looking. Some of the enologists.
So one man and one girl band. So Saverio in the vineyards and Pagana in the marketing. So for producers like this and many other, also it's not so easy to be recognized like the quality. But I think in few years you will hear about this producer Monterotondo, also in famous magazine, maybe a Wine Potato or something similar. So because the wines are really nice.
The wines are.
Yes, usually here we have just the wines that we like, and the wines that we like from producers that we enjoy. So if we don't like the producer, the person, so we don't have the wine. So there should be both. So this for me is very important because every wine is very representative of the person that really make the wine. So well, I like to try. This is true. So I like real wines, not wines made in the cellar in billions of bottles. So this is just what I think.
So anyone who has any questions, you can write them or ask them to Livio. We have the producer here, but I think he doesn't want to jump in.
They're not so able maybe with this. With Blab the first time.
Ok, anyway, se Saverio sei qui ascolti, se clicchi sul call in ti accetto, sarebbe bello, però se non vuoi non c'è problema. Ah, ecco, sta chiamando.
Chiama.
So we're having the producer. I hadn't even planned this. This is very cool. Let's see if he's coming in.
So in the Chianti region, the connection is not so fast like here in Florence.
So he might not come in, but let's see.
And this producer live on the top of a hill, so just in the middle of nothing. So
he might not be able to get in. Well, let's see.
It's very slow.
Yes.
To arrive here, the signal.
Let's see. Otherwise, we'll have him come to you once, and then we'll do another one.
Maybe they have the 56 kilobytes connection.
Yeah, it might be.
No.
I don't think so, but it might be a bit slow.
No.
It might be like Nadia, that sometimes it works.
Nadia?
Okay.
No. Okay, so.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, just ask them, and otherwise, I don't know. Well, he tries to get in. Non so, do you want to talk a bit about the vintages, because there were some interesting differences in the vertical tasting last week.
Okay, we can take a little bit about the vertical tasting. So vertical tasting for me are very interesting because with vertical tasting you are really able to see how a producer works. It's very funny because you're also able to see how every vintage really have an influence on the wine production. So I think this is my idea. If the producer is a good one, so in the wines you should notice the influence of the vintage. So for example, here we have 2011. 2011 was a very hot vintage in Tuscany. So what they have in common normally 2011 is that they are very alcoholic, so a lot of alcohol and little acidity. So our wines to drink a little bit earlier, respect to 2010 or some other. For example, during the vertical tasting with of the Chianti Classico, this one we tried also the 2006 and 2007. It seems strange, but for example, the 2006 was much younger than the 2011. This is due to the very hot vintage. So when you find a very hot vintage, the wines are ready to drink in advance. Whereas a warm vintage like 2006 and 2007, the wines can be aged more. On the other side, 2011 is ready to drink before respect to 2006 and 2007. 2006, for example, is very nice to drink now. Maybe if you had drunk 3 years ago, it wouldn't have been so nice like now. And so I think we tried just 3 vintages. From 3 vintages, we were able to notice the differences. 2006, a very top quality vintage. 2007, a little bit less. So we tried both the Riserva and the Chianti Classico, and they were a little more similar. So not so complex in the nose like the 2006. A little bit astringent, quite young, but the quality wasn't so extraordinary like the 6, for example, and so on. So every vintage normally is different. So in the last months we made several vertical tasting with different producers, really also to try to understand those reasons. So how really a particular vintage is able to change the taste, the quality, the aging capacity of a wine, and in different areas is also very different. So consider, for example, 2014 was one of the worst vintage ever in Tuscany, maybe worse than 2002. For example, in the Etna region in Sicily, it was one of the best vintage ever. So
sorry, I kicked him out. Se ascolti Saverio ti ho cancellato, ma puoi riprovare, così vediamo se magari riesci a... Che sarebbe bello. Let's see if he managed to get in. I think his connection is a bit slow.
Yes, maybe.
It's not easy to live on the hillside in Tuscany.
Okay, so I was saying
the 2006 and 2007, the differences.
2006 and 2007, yes.
Yes, and this was the Chianti Classico Annata, no? So yes, the vintage.
And we tried also the 2007 reserve. So it was more ready than 2011. So now with the reserve, with the aging, the old oak taste goes away. So it remains the spiciness and the aromas more typical to the Sangiovese way. So the tannins become a little smoother, so the wine more elegant, a little less acid, and a little bit easier to drink. So anyway, both 2006 and 7 of the Chianti Classico and 2007 of the Riserva were quite young. So wines that you can age 15 years more without problems, or not just gone. So they are in the middle of their life. They are still a little bit too young, maybe, but just very, very nice to drink now. And so this is the vertical tasting. We in the same day we made also horizontal tasting. So same vintage, different wines, 2011 and 2007. Just to having an idea of how the vintage change the two different type of wine. And the same, so we saw that in 2011, both the Riserva and the Chianti Classico, the wine was still alcoholic, a little more ready respect other vintages, and maybe a little bit less acid. And also 2007 and Classico and Riserva were quite similar. So same spiciness aroma, the fruits, dark fruits, so seems you notice that the producer was the same, and the vintage was the same. So really nice, really interesting. And this this wine tasting was inside a bigger project we have, me and Bianca, to make wine tasting of different areas inside the Chianti Classico. So every wine tasting is about a particular area. So the one of Saverio was, for example, the Gaiole. We made the couple of weeks before with the Montefiorale, that is from the area of Montefiorale. Next, we will make maybe from other areas, so Radda in Chianti, Castelnuovo Ardenga. And this is a project that about the zonazione, so of Chianti Classico. We try to understand how you can divide the Chianti Classico into many small different areas, and to say if it's possible to zoning, yes, if it's possible to understand similarities between producers that are in the same areas. So it's not so easy.
So I'm just going to interrupt you 2 seconds, because I'm chatting here with Saverio while you're talking. So he will be on a Blab another time, perhaps with Livio and Bianca.
Yes.
So we'll organize a date when he can, and let's see if we can get him online. Okay. So anyway, if you want to make any questions to Saverio, you can do it in the chat. Sorry, Livio, continue.
Okay, so I was saying about the zoning of Chianti Classico. So it will be very interesting. So it's not so easy, because I say every time. So for example, in Montalcino is much easier to make a zoning, because every producer make wine in theory, and I say again in theory, with 100% of Sangiovese. So the vinification technique are quite similar, whereas in the Chianti area, and this is the very, very nice, so it's not a negative aspect, but it's a positive one, that every producer makes a wine with a different blend. So 80% of Sangiovese, and the rest changes. So Canaiolo, Colorino, Black Malvasia, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, whatever. So, and the aging is very different. So there are some producers that age the wines in oak, some other in concrete, some other in stainless steel tanks. So the results are very, very different. So it's also difficult to find similar characteristics. So the example I make every time is consider the two producer for the same producer, the same vineyards, a small part with the Sangiovese, another part with Cabernet Sauvignon. If the same producer makes a wine with only Sangiovese, the wine is aged in still, very short maturation. With the same vineyard, instead the producer makes another wine with 20% of Cabernet Sauvignon, aged 2 years in oak barrels, in barrique. Very long macerations. So at the end, from the same vineyards, so from the same area, you will have two totally different wines. And so this is why it's very difficult to talk about zoning. Of course, you can recognize something similar, so the acidity, some aromas, but it's not so easy. But it will be very interesting to find some connection between the same producer in the same area. So, and it would be very nice in the future to say the name of the area on the bottle. So now this, for example, is the wine of Saverio. So now on the Chianti, what do you find? You find written the Chianti Classico, the vintage, the name of the producer, nothing more. I think it would be very nice in the future to find written somewhere here or here where the wine is from. For example, Gaiole in Chianti, Radda in Chianti, Castelnuovo Erdenga. Just also to give to the customer an indication, because if you find written just Chianti Classico, you don't know what you are going to buy. Because a Chianti Classico, and you have to try from Lamole, is totally different respect to Chianti Classico from Castelnuovo Erdenga. It's how to say a Pinot Noir and a Cabernet Sauvignon, so they are totally different wines. So, and if the customers don't know the producer well, it's very difficult when you buy a wine. If you buy a wine shop, is okay. So you ask to the man, and it tells you everything. But if you're at the supermarket, it will be very difficult. So I think
these wines you don't find at the supermarket, do you?
Sorry?
These wines no. You do not find at the supermarket.
No, those wines you find just in small, very nice wine shop, and mainly here in Tuscany. You can find also some bottles in the US and other parts, but very small amounts. So the Saverio production,
for example, sell in the US, or he just sent privately.
I don't know if maybe Saverio has a small importer. We should ask Saverio. When you talk about quantity for those wines, are just few thousand bottles. So consider how big are US, a few thousand bottles, maybe just go in no more than 10, 20 shops all across the US. So it's not the wine like Ruffino, the main billions of bottles.
No, but just out of curiosity, as there's a lot of Americans here.
Anyways, Saverio told that So
do you prefer 100% Sangiovese or do you prefer blends? Chris is asking.
So Saverio prefer blends because he doesn't like blend 100% Sangiovese. This is, in my opinion, I like also the 100% Sangiovese. For me, is Sfida, is what do you say, Sfida?
Challenge.
Challenge, yeah, sorry. So it's a challenge for every producer for me to make 100% Sangiovese. Yes, anyway, Saverio prefer the traditional blend. So Sangiovese with Canaiolo and Malvasia, so the local grapes. He hates the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and so on. So it's a good point of view because for the tradition in the past, the Chianti Classico was a blend. So remember that it was Sangiovese, Canaiolo, and a little bit of Trebbiano, Malvasia, also with white grapes. So the historical Chianti Classico was this. So 100% Sangiovese is something more recent. So the most traditional Chianti Classico is normally a blend, and I agree with Saverio. In my opinion, maybe a producer may try in very good vintages to make a particular wine, 100% Sangiovese, to try to understand the results of this grape. So, but not every year, because it's very difficult to make a wine with only Sangiovese every year. Maybe just in the best vintages. So I am a fan of Sangiovese, so I like. But Canaiolo and Malvasia had something more. So the Canaiolo mild a little bit stronger astringency, acidity of the Sangiovese. The Malvasia gives more aromas and a little bit more color to the Sangiovese. The Ciligiolo gives the cherry flavor typical of many wines. The Mammolo, the same. So every grape gives something different to the wine. In the past, they use a lot of white grapes to the Chianti Classico, because the Chianti Classico in the past was something totally different respect to nowadays. It was a wine to drink every day, every family, so it should be something light, fruity, easy to drink, and more important, most important, in the past, the Chianti Classico was a wine you have to drink as soon as possible. So if you added a little bit of white grapes, the wine is ready before to drink. Whereas many Chianti Classico today are wines more important for long aging. So a little bit different respect.
Also, because it's very high acidity in the beginning, so it might be difficult to drink.
Yes.
The first years.
Yes.
If it's 100%.
Yes. Whereas in the past they had so the wine was like a food. So it was one of the most important sources of energy, especially when Italian people were very poor. So they had just bread, a little bit of salami maybe. So the wine was a very important, like energetic, like to give energy. So it was very important to have the wine as soon as possible. So in the past they didn't have the Novello, so the only possibility was to add white grapes and other particular vinification technique that nowadays have been lost. So the Chianti Classico of the past, remember, is was very different to the Chianti Classico of today. Now some producers are trying to make, but they sell like IGT. For example, Podere Castellinuzza, which is a small producer in Lamo, makes a Chianti Classico with white grapes, but it's not a Chianti Classico because it's forbidden. So Serena, the producer, sells like IGT, like a table wine, and also other producers make it the same.
To drink them live, yes. That's great. No, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people are experimenting more now, so I think they do a bit of both. No, yes, they do a bit of both with AGT, but also the traditional Chianti Classico.
Yes.
Any other questions for Livio or for Saverio? I was thinking about a question and I can't remember, but there was something he said. If we refer to the barrel or barrique again, so I guess that it's more big barrels here that he used.
Sorry, if I prefer the barrique.
No, if we talk about the big barrel and the barrique again.
Yes, the difference.
So I think he uses the difference. He uses the big barrel, no, or does he use the barrique?
Yes,
I think he uses the big barrel.
Not very big, medium.
Okay.
Tonneau, like tonneau.
Yes, so, but it's still not.
700-900 liters.
Okay.
So in practice they are tonneau.
True. So I don't know. 750.
750 liters. So about 3 times a barrique, little less than 3 times a barrique.
Yes. No, but that's what I meant. It's big in relation to a barrique. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Saverio? l'ultima di 20.
So now Saverio has a very big oak Tuscan barrel, 2,000 liters. So is the typical barrels of Tuscany. So in Tuscany, tradition is to use very big oak barrels. So different back to France, where they prefer to use the small one. And normally the oak from of our barrel is from east of Europe, from Slavonia, not from France.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I lost the thread here, but where were we, Livio? I don't remember what we were talking about. Before the stupid question about the barrel, what were you were talking about? What were we talking about? Help.
The energy that a wine can drink.
Yes, so yes, the energy.
Glass of wine every day, keep the doctor far away.
True, very true. Chris and anyone, do you have any questions? Jilly, or I think Marla went away. So for those people who are outside the Blab, we're still talking to Livio, and we also have the producer, even if only by chat. And we're talking about the Chianti Classico from Gaiole, Monterotondo winery. So I think we've covered a lot about the wines, the winery, the area, the soil and terroir, typical for this part in Gaiole. As said, we will have the producer on another Blab. If we arrange it with Livio and Bianca in the winery, if the connection doesn't work. And here's also Daniele, which is a producer from close to San Gimignano. So we have two producers here today. We're talking to Livio, and we also have the Saverio from Monterotondo, but he can't get on. So I don't know, do you have any questions? Do you want to add something, Livio, about the wines from Saverio or something in his production? Or if Saverio wants to add something himself?
Yes. About the Chianti Classico, the general, the wine, beer, spirits.
In which state do you sell? Let's ask where he sells in the US, for those of you who would like to find his wines.
Utah. I think they're all in Utah.
In Utah, but you can't drink in Utah. No. You're joking. That would be a bit bad.
The only wine produced in Utah. They sell wine in Utah. They sell like water.
In New York, Ohio, and North Carolina. That's interesting. Okay, so if you live in Ohio or in North Carolina or in New York. I think also Donald Trump is in North Carolina. Apparently he had the biggest winery in North Carolina, I read.
Yes, he has a lot of Saverio's bottles.
Okay, so people, Daniela, do you want to, you haven't been here, but we're talking about Saverio's wines, because there was this wine tasting last week at La Vittivina Enoteca, which was a vertical wine tasting with Saverio's wines from Gaiole. So we've been talking about the zoning, zonazione. Yes, I posted a lot of stuff last Thursday. Sì, andiamo a trovarti.
Saverio makes also a rosé. So I don't have the rosé, but he also makes a rosé wine.
But is it Sangiovese or is it something else? Sangiovese.
New friend, I think it's Sangiovese Saverio. Yes.
Yes.
So is a new trend in
yes.
Tuscany to make rosé,
and everybody does it with the contact with the grape skins, no?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think Saverio is just Sangiovese, Canaiolo, Black Malvasia, Trebbiano, and I don't know if it's maybe also Colorino, the very traditional grape. Yes, so
Sangiovese, Colorino.
No Cabernet Sauvignon, no Merlot. No.
You have to go to Bulgaria for that.
Yes,
Canaiolo, Malvasia Nera.
Malvasia Nera is another of the typical red grapes from Tuscany that you can find also in Puglia, in the top south of Italy.
Yes.
And very popular also in San Miniato.
So he doesn't like Merlot and Cabernet. He thinks it's not grapes for Tuscany.
Yes, they are not very traditional, especially for the Chianti region. So in the Chianti region, the Sangiovese really grows very well. Why to use other grapes? So there are some producers that makes very good wine, really good wines with the Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Pinot Noir, and so on. But we are more traditional men, so we prefer the traditional Tuscan grapes. So we have so many very nice red grapes in Tuscany. Why to use the grapes of some of other countries? So,
but also, I think also Daniele uses a lot of Malvasia Nera, vero, no?
Where in?
Daniele from Campo Chiarenti.
Ah, no.
Yes. The tradition since the Medici.
It's a very nice grape, the Malvasia Nera. It's not considered, but it gives very, very nice wines. So it's very difficult to find red wines made with just or mainly Malvasia Nera. But I tried something and they're very nice, very, very light, easy, but more summer wines. Really nice to try. And the same with the wines with Ciliegiolo, Canaiolo are very.
What's the difference between the Ciliegiolo Nero, which the Terenzuola does in the Lunigiana area?
The Canaiolo Nero has Terenzuola. Canaiolo is a Merla.
Because it's typical for that area only, no?
Yes, it's a particular clone of Canaiolo called Merla that is typical of the north of Tuscany and Colli di Luni area and Liguria, the south of Liguria. And it's a grape typical of that area. There it's called Merla. And gives very, very nice wines, very light, fruity, and very, very, very interesting. And Terenzuola makes the wine called la Merla della Miniera, which is one of the best expression of Canaiolo in the world. So it's a very nice wine. And that is a very interesting area. Maybe we should talk about that region because they have
I'm trying to get Terenzuola also as a guest, but he's not very. He has promised, but I don't know when.
He's always all across the world to talk about.
Yes, he's traveling a lot, so I think.
But it's very nice. He's one of the most expert men in wine I have ever met. So it's very interesting.
No, he's very nice. I met him in Lucca, and he said he would do it, but then I think he's a lot around. I think he went to Hong Kong and he went to the States.
When he talks about wine, he knows what he's saying. Not so many like other producers. So Saverio is another one that is very wise.
No, also Daniele. Daniele knows a lot about his wines. He's very passionate. So for those of you who want to listen to the Daniele from Campo Chiarenti, who are following from Chris and Gilly, you can listen to an old Blab from January, I think, because he was a guest then. And he's from Tuscany, also close to San Gimignano. And as said, we will try and get Saverio as a guest in the coming weeks, perhaps. Would be fun. Let's see when Livio is free, so we can so we can perhaps arrange it. If the connection is not working in Gaiole. Anything to add, Livio? Otherwise, I think we can soon end it here.
I think it told a lot of
Chris or Gilly or anyone, anything you want to ask more to Livio or to Saverio? Or we'll wait to Saverio until Saverio comes on himself in the next weeks. Yes, the connection is always a problem in Chianti. So I think we just kind of wrap it up here because it was very interesting. But I think we should wait with some things until Saverio comes on himself, so he can talk more about his winery and his area. So thank you everybody who was here. Thank you, Livio, for a very good presentation. Thank you, Saverio, even if you couldn't get on, and then thank you everybody else. And next week, the guest is still to be defined, so we'll see. This is a bit difficult period because it's June, so not many people are are easy to get a hold of. But on the 28th, we will have Copelli Wines from San Miniato, who makes sparkling wine with Sangiovese, I think, and Trebbiano. So thank you again, and let's meet again next Tuesday. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye, bye.